Hi and welcome to MBA Now. I'm Rob Van Raphorst. The Trump administration and Congress are already starting to tackle GSE reform, and this is one of MBA's top priorities. Bill Killmer, MBA's Senior Vice President for Legislative and Political Affairs, is here to give us an update. Bill, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here, Rob.
So, Mel Watt, the head of the FHFA, recently testified before the Senate Banking Committee. Can you explain what he said and why this was significant?
Well, it was significant because it's a prime indicator that by calling the regulator of the GSEs up to testify, the conservator, as Director Watt has that role, that the committee's really serious about kickstarting the conversation and the debate on housing and secondary mortgage market reform. Now, he said a lot, both in his testimony and in the Q&A, as is natural for that kind of official to testify. Talked a lot about affordable housing. There were some fireworks on the subject of principal reduction and then some conversation about small lenders having access to some of the GSE risk share deals. But I think the two big takeaways from the hearing were that Watt and a number of senators on both sides of the aisle announced again as a core principle that whatever reform takes place, that there should be a continuation of equal access to pricing and underwriting standards regardless of lender size. And frankly, that wouldn't have happened if MBA hadn't fought for that in the last 5 or 6 years, and it's been locked in, and it's really great to see that that's a preserved core principle amongst those on the committee and Director Watt. The other big takeaway was that Watt said unilaterally that Congress has got to act in a bipartisan way to achieve comprehensive reform, and that despite some rumor to the contrary that there's really no way that FHFA can administratively reform the GSEs, it has to be Congress stepping in, and he volunteered to be an enormous technical advisor to the committee and to the Congress as a whole to help make that happen.
So what are the next steps for Congress and the administration?
Well, the administration has said, very much through the Treasury Secretary and the Treasury Department, that they're going to weigh in heavily on this, that it's something that they want to see happen. And Secretary Stephen Mnuchin has said before the Congress at his confirmation hearing that he wants that to be achieved in a bipartisan, comprehensive way. He's going to be testifying in the next couple of days before the Senate Banking Committee, and he's sure to get questions about that and kind of lock that theme down again. But he's got senior advisors as the team at Treasury is getting built and more folks are being confirmed that are working on it, that are meeting with outside groups like MBA. And I think it's critical that the White House and the Treasury are going to continue to push in a way that we hadn't seen over the last couple of Congresses to make this happen. And although the Senate is really taking the lead and is now going to start holding some hearings, we think, in June and into the rest of the summer, pulling stakeholders like the MBA up to testify to get some further expert opinion, that's an indicator that the staffs are going to continue to work in a bipartisan manner and hold briefings and continue to lay the groundwork for action. We can't forget about the House, and I think that Chairman Hensarling and the House Financial Services Committee have indicated that after they're done with flood insurance and some regulatory relief legislation, they're going to turn their focus to housing finance reform later this year as well.
As far as MBA is concerned, what are we going to continue to do to lead on this issue?
Well, I just think the timing of MBA's GSE white paper and proposal, which is really the most technical and the most deeply rooted and broadest proposal to date that's out there, is excellent. There's a couple of months here of serious ramping up and serious dialogue and conversation about how to craft a proposal and how to reach a consensus, and it's a great platform for us to utilize. So we're meeting with all the relevant policymakers, both on Capitol Hill, doing dozens of targeted meetings. It's going to be a big point of emphasis at our National Advocacy Conference coming up in late June, when we're going to have hundreds of folks that are going to go to the Hill and press the message that there's a need for comprehensive reform. And we're meeting as a stakeholder regularly with the Treasury Department and senior advisors to Secretary Mnuchin, again, to help them as they're going to weigh in. And the Congress is going to look to Treasury really and FHFA for help in crafting the proposal. But we're meeting with other stakeholders, third parties, other trade groups, consumer advocates, and we're certainly doing everything we can to ramp up the grassroots to try to maintain momentum.
Yeah, it's a really important issue for our association. This was really informative. Thanks so much for stopping by and explaining some of it to us.
You bet.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at MBA Mortgage and like Mortgage Bankers Association on Facebook and Instagram.